non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
You know why I love Purple Daily, gentlemen, and our audience, our faithful community of Vikings fans? One of the things I love the most is the three of us here, Phil Mackey, Judd Zulgad, our executive producer, Declan Goff. We can go away for the weekend and take 5 minutes off to grab some brunch and be with our friends and loved ones to recharge. And all throughout the weekend, we can get badgered by people wondering, when is the emergency average offensive lineman episode going to drop? Why haven't you guys done an emergency Chris Reed episode yet? They signed guard Chris Reed.
I wanted that same thing.
Average
actually.
offensive lineman,
I was thinking the same thing.
And we maybe should have done this.
I was like on my six Surly, and I'm like, why are we not doing that all important Chris Reed? In fact, you know what? I bet you Chris Reed loves a Surly or four.
He probably does. Yeah,
he looks like a guy who would drink a Surly, doesn't he?
Yes. So, and speaking of that, Purple Daily is presented by Surly Brewing Company and TCL, which has a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. So, we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die, and having a crappy offensive line makes it very difficult to win a Super Bowl, all right? Chris Reed, let's go through the tail of the tape here. We'll get to Mock Draft Monday as well on Purple Daily, but Chris Reed was 39th out of 88 guards last season, according to Pro Football Focus. He is average, and that might as well be Pro Bowl caliber compared to some of the other guards that we've seen running through here. So he was 39th out of 88, 26th in run blocking, 56th in pass protection, which, by the way, Oli Udoh was like 79th out of 88, so he's a better pass protector than Oli Udoh. And get this. He's only committed 6 penalties over the past 2 seasons combined. 1,400 snaps, only 6 penalties for Chris Reed. So, pop the champagne.
Play the horn.
Listen, let's be celebrating. Hold on, let me find it here. No, I got something better for you guys.
Okay.
Let's play the full song, actually.
Okay.
Let's fire up a little Skull Vikings for this one. For having potentially an average offensive line in 2022.
What does it
Your
say?
thoughts on Chris Reed?
What does it say, not about Chris Reed, but about Judd Zulgad, that when I saw this signing and started to delve into it a bit, and I think that I wrote something for ScoreNorth.com, and I sent a note to Phil. I said, can you please send me some PFF backup here on if Chris Reed is good or not? What does it say about me that I was actually, by the time I got done putting together my write-up on Chris Reed, like, yeah, this isn't bad.
Dude,
I actually sort of like
great.
this.
This is great.
I'm not kidding you.
I mean, would it be nice to have 5 Steve Hutchinson caliber players along your offensive line? Yes, but if they can just become the 16th best offensive line in the NFL, it'll be the best offensive line Kirk Cousins has played behind since joining the Vikings. The other thing here, too, is the Vikings are making a concerted effort to bring in experienced starting caliber veterans along one of the youngest offensive lines in the NFL. So Chris Reed, 30 years old, I think in like June or July this summer, 26 career NFL starts. Jesse Davis, who they signed, a week and a half ago, he's 30 years old, 72 career NFL starts. Neither one of those guys is guaranteed a starting spot right now, but like that right guard is wide open right now for the taking. So you add those guys, 30 years old, 100 combined starts in the NFL. At guard, they've both been average-ish in their careers, which, again, is not a rip. It's actually a celebration here for this franchise. And you add them to Christian Darrisaw, Ezra Cleveland, Garrett Bradbury, Brian O'Neill, Oli Udoh, Wyatt Davis, all of whom are under the age of 27 right now. And dare I say, I don't love the Vikings offensive line yet, but I'm starting to see, okay, new scheme, new coaching staff, couple actual average caliber players to fit in here into the mix. I'm starting to come around a little bit on the Vikings offensive line and the picture that Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi have. All right, starting to come around a little.
Well, I think that's completely fair because I think the tackles are good. Like I think their tackles are good, and that is a huge starting point. So, like, when you could say that the left and right tackle are either solid or well beyond that, that's great, right? I don't buy into the fact that Ezra Cleveland is a disappointment somehow. I think he's going to be fine. Like,
Yeah.
is he going to be a Pro Bowl player? I have no clue. Perhaps not. Is he an active train wreck? Because, I mean, we're talking about active volcanoes here that are blowing up every Sunday, right? And it's like, don't ever let your insurance lap, because your home is going to get hit with molten lava and probably blow up. Do I think that Ezra Cleveland is guilty of being on that train? Absolutely not. I don't. I think he'll be fine. Okay, that's 3 guys. The right guard, and I will say this, I will go to my grave saying this about the 2021 Vikings right guard. Oli Udoh was set up to fail. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to bag on a guy who got a phone call in July, probably thought it was like his parents or something, and it's the Vikings saying, we're moving you to guard. The guy's a career tackle. Like, that's not just well, you should just move and be fine.
No.
He was set up to fail. I don't think he has any business being asked to go back to guard now. And then as they started to add guys, Jesse Davis to me sounds like a swing guy. He's a backup guy, right? So I feel like this signing is the first guy where I say, you know what? I think he's probably going to win the job. I think he's going to be at least solid. That's all I want. The center position still scares me. It scares me a lot. I'm not going to try and lie about that or say that, yeah, I'm fine with that. Garrett Bradbury scares me. But I do feel like now, at least for the 5 positions, you either are going to be average, solid, or beyond that good. So I feel better. I feel better for sure.
Yeah, this is, I mean, obviously, like, Garrett Bradbury is still a huge question mark, and I think we're assuming, the best version of some of these other players. But I think the upside of Christian Darrisaw, could he be an 8-year franchise left tackle? Yes. Brian O'Neill is already one of the better right tackles in the NFL. So if you've got your tackles figured out, you should be able to figure the rest out. But it is the Vikings, and they've had trouble figuring out the interior. So I guess what I'm saying is I just like the fact that there's a limited amount of money to spend here. And, they dug that grave themselves from a cap perspective. But it seems like they're doing a pretty good job with the limited cap space they have of bringing guys in that have a chance to at least elevate this offensive line a little bit. Is it, we went through that list, a month ago of the top 8 or 9 free agent guards, and Chris Reed was not one of them. But just being average can be a huge lift for Kirk Cousins and for this offense. And then we have to see what the new coaching staff can bring to the table too. So welcome aboard, Chris Reed.
This kind of reminds me of like when it's spring training and you have like a bunch of different guys competing for that 5th spot in the rotation, right? Like your first 3 to 4 guys you have in pencil, that 4th guy's going to have to earn it, but then who in God's name are we going to put at the 5th? Like who is it going to be? There's some in-house options, there's some kids that we could throw in. But then the Twins, they bring in Chris Archer, like, oh, Chris Archer, a guy who hasn't, been good in 4 years, but an established name who I know. And I feel like that the guard is kind of similar to this from a baseball perspective of, you know what, the in-house options, they're fine. We have depth. If we have an injury, we can plug and play someone. But let's go get somebody who actually can legitimately just hold this position down and make you feel a little bit better when it's his turn to go in the rotation.
Yeah, because
that's what this reminds me of.
That's the other thing too. Like when the Vikings starting offensive linemen have been questionable in different spots, and then if one of those dudes gets hurt, now it's like, oh God, so Oli Udoh's already bad, and then like who's coming in for Oli Udoh?
Yeah.
Well, now let's say the starting offensive line is Christian Darrisaw, Ezra Cleveland, Garrett Bradbury. Cross your fingers, and let's say Chris Reed is the starting right guard, and then obviously Brian O'Neill. Okay, Chris Reed gets hurt, or Ezra Cleveland gets hurt, or struggles, or whatever it may be. Okay, well, Jesse Davis has 72 career NFL starts. At guard, he's better than he's kind of a train wreck tackle, but if you put him at guard, cool. Okay, he can hold his own. Oli Udoh as like the second option off of your bench, a guy who's had some experience. Like if you had to use him for a game or two, okay, he's got some starting experience.
Right.
And then Wyatt Davis is the ultimate wild card here too. And Wyatt Davis might be the best of all of them by the time it's all said and done.
You tell me.
But it
When'd you
just feels
find out?
there's more. It just feels like there's more professionals now in the room than there was a month ago, which
Yes.
is a good thing.
They have 100% at least attempted at right guard to address it now. Like, it's not, is it what we would have done on this show? Probably not. But at least, like, when they signed Aaron Schlottman, I got to be honest, didn't feel real good about that.
I forgot about that guy. Yeah, he's on the team too.
And Wyatt Davis, like, we just don't know. Jesse is a swing guy, which is fine. But I mean, when he signed and there was immediate talk about, well, that could be your starting right guard, I got to admit the trepidation from my end was extremely high. With this one, at least, I think that you're on the right track. Is it perfect? No. Is it an improvement now? And is there competition? Yes. And I am still curious. I do not think, to be clear, that it will be the kid from Iowa, but I still will not be surprised as well if they do draft a center and at least give themselves another option at that position through the draft.
Who is, okay, dumb question. Am I blanking here? Who's their backup center right now?
Yeah, it's probably Jesse Davis, who took some snaps there for the Dolphins. It might be Davis, who took some snaps. I saw him taking some snaps in training camp. Like, there's no definitive one, right?
So that's probably even more reason
Guards
to draft somebody right later,
Right.
even if it's like 4th, 5th round.
I have a hard time believing that Garrett Bradbury is going to go into training camp completely unchallenged.
Yeah,
And
I
right
agree.
now he would be unchallenged.
I mean, by the way, like
nobody.
I'm contractually obligated to throw the name J.C. Treader out until he signs with somebody. You think the book is closed on that now?
I mean, I haven't been told that, but it's certainly, I haven't seen his name surface anywhere.
Yeah, well, but he's going to sign with somebody.
Maybe, yeah.
And at this point, it's probably not going to be for a ton of money. It's probably going to be kind of just based on the condition of his legs, his knees, just some of the reports we saw from, him taking practices off throughout the year because he was hobbled. Okay, well, you want to come in here and have a 1-year prove-it situation? It's the one thing we don't know is what Kevin O'Connell's new coaching staff and Kwesi thinks of Garrett Bradbury. Like, he's going to say the right things and make the Rams comparisons, but it's possible they're saying, maybe they've had conversations already with a J.C. Treader, and I am not reporting that. I'm just floating it. Would you be shocked? I mean, they've already made all these all-in moves. If you got the cap space, well, bring him in.
I wouldn't be shocked. I'm just surprised there's been nothing about Treader basically connected to the rest of the league since the Browns jettisoned him.
Yeah,
like I just thought that there would be some type of traction. And here's the other thing too. So you're right. When it comes to O'Connell, O'Connell at the combine was very complimentary of Bradbury, talked about, and until I see it differently, I'm going to assume that he was at least partially or largely telling the truth. Here's the thing though that we also don't know from a coaching standpoint, and Ben Gessling's story in today's Tribune, which had a ton on O'Connell's approach to the defense, shows like, and this is not a bad thing, but it shows a confidence / arrogance about his ability to coach things, which he should have. That being said, though, what we don't know is this: how much better do these guys think from an offensive standpoint Kirk can make the line himself? Like, we haven't had that discussion yet. But if they're completely convinced that Kirk Cousins' failures were a product of the people that came before them, the Green Bay Packers, last time I checked in 2021, basically lost their offensive line. It was decimated, right?
Yeah.
But they still won 13 games because their quarterback is so good. So I'm just saying, this might sound crazy, but we need to keep in mind that Kevin O'Connell is going to have a certain amount of hubris about the fact that he thinks that he can make Kirk so good potentially that Kirk's previous shortcomings when it came to the line will now make up for the line's problems.
Yeah, great. I mean, yes, no one's denying the Vikings offensive line has not had great players and has lacked great development, but great quarterbacks and also great schemes can elevate offensive lines. I mean, Peyton Manning was a statue, but his preparation, his pre-snap ability to read and to get the ball out where and when he needed to, I think he got sacked one time like 9 times in a full season. Peyton Manning, one of the least mobile quarterbacks of all time, was not racking up 25, 30, 40 sacks on a regular basis. But so I do think the scheme and Kirk within the scheme are going to help the offensive line in pass protection too. It just, again, when you have a head coach that wasn't ever popping his head in a meaningful way into offensive meetings, I'm like, yeah, your offensive linemen over the course of 4 years plus are probably not going to live up to their expectations. They're probably not going to overperform. You can look at the Rams some of those Rams offensive linemen, and you can play this game across like some Andy Reid offenses throughout, Kansas City and Philadelphia too. You're like, man, it's not a bunch of first and second rounders. I mean, there's some dudes who are just like elevating above where they were graded maybe going into drafts because coaching, development, scheme, good quarterback pairing, right? And the Vikings have just not had that infrastructure lately.
I just want people to know I like this signing. Ladies and gentlemen, Purple Daily, Judd Zolgad from his chair right now likes this signing. I'm positive.
Wow. This is a landmark moment on Purple Daily. Judd Zolgad
All right, TikTokers,
being positive.
Capture this.
Being
Capture
positive.
this, TikTokers. I just want people who get on Twitter and say, those guys never have anything positive to say. I actually looked at this and said, yeah, okay.
Amazing.
I'm on board.
Amazing. Boys, let's should we make our Surly announcement here? It's a Monday. We're allowed to announce this, right?
Yeah, we're
All
going
right.
to announce it.
So we are going to be holding at Surly Brewing Company. We are going to be holding a night one draft party. It's the Surly Purple Daily Vikings draft party. And one night only, they will be unveiling a special Purple Daily partnered beer called Before I Die. The Before I Die Pale Ale, a beer that celebrates approachable hop flavor and the audacity of one thought, a professional football championship for the state of Minnesota. Just one Before I Die. That's all we ask. 6 o'clock, Thursday, April 28th, 7th, 8th. I should have my calendar open. The night one of the NFL draft, that Thursday, the last Thursday in April. We're going to be doing a 4-5 hour live stream, which if you're not able to make it in town in Minneapolis, you can also watch on YouTube. And we'll have the draft going. We'll have the Before I Die Pale Ale, and hopefully hundreds of Vikings fans hanging out and celebrating. It should be a blast.
April 28th. And
April 28th.
Yes, we will be we will be enjoying the fruits of the brewers who are outstanding. And yeah, let's just say I'm going to have a few while we're doing the game, or the draft.
So and this Before I Die Pale Ale too. Again, this is you have to be at Surly on that Thursday, April 28th. It's a one night only situation. I mean, if people like it, maybe we can twist their arms into doing something more long term. But for right now, it's one night only. The Before I Die Pale Ale. So we'll be talking about this. We'll add some more details here and there, but. If you're a Vikings fan, if you're a Purple Daily fan, come on down. It's going to be super fan-friendly, interactive. We're going to have a microphone and a camera set up if you want to join the show. We'll just have Ventline going once the Vikings make their pick. So we'll turn Ventline into an in-person affair at Surly. Should be a blast.
I love it.
And I'll be wearing my Chill Boys. I don't know about you guys, but definitely we'll be wearing my Chill Boys.
No question about it. No question about it.
Maybe the long underwear. If it's chilly, we'll see.
I could see that, yeah.
Okay.
April 28th, I could see that, yeah.
Before I die and before I'm cold. That's kind of how I look at it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I won't be cold. Not at all.
What a night. Surly, a beer brewed just basically for our cause and and the fans' cause, and Chill Boys.
Yes.
It's just a collision of greatness.
It's going to be a blast. Chill Boys is a Minnesota-based company. You can find them online at chillboys.com, the most comfortable underwear that we have ever worn before.
Love it.
And now you have enough time, too, if you live out of state, if you're a transplant Vikings fan, you got time to book a flight or a road trip or whatever it is. Come hang out at Surly on night one of the draft, and we'll have a good time. We'll cheers a few Surlys together before I die. All right. Another thing happened over the weekend in Vikingsville, or not really in Vikingsville, but something that might have explained the Jim Harbaugh situation. All right. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on this. So, Josina Anderson tweeted out, NFL Insider, I'm told Colin Kaepernick has informed others he's open to accepting even a backup quarterback role if that's what it takes to facilitate a return to the NFL. Which, by the way, dude, you've been out of the league for 6 years. blackballed or whatever. Like, you're not just going to get a starting role. After
Obviously,
6
you
years.
would have to take a backup role.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, breaking news, he would like.
I thought the same
It's
thing.
good that you're open to a backup role. According to a league source, you have to credit Jim Harbaugh that he's willing to help his former player try to get back. So Harbaugh had Kaepernick throw passes to Michigan wide receivers during halftime of the Michigan spring game this weekend in front of pro scouts. Mm-hmm. So they have maintained or have rekindled a relationship. Kaepernick has now thrown with Tyler Lockett and some other NFL receivers. Harbaugh went to a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick. So I think my speculative question for you guys is, things ended sort of weird. When Harbaugh was in town, they met for like 8 or 9 hours. There was never an offer made, and they could just clearly – they could tell both sides that they weren't envisioning the same future for the Vikings. We know that ownership doesn't just want to get rid of Kirk Cousins for anybody. Is there a chance Jim Harbaugh brought Colin Kaepernick up in those discussions with Vikings ownership?
Well, mentioned him perhaps, but was that the problem? I don't think so. So it sounds like, and the reports were that there was a long portion where Jim Harbaugh was talking to the Wilfs and the people on this committee that the Vikings had, where things were going really well. Everyone's getting along. They're talking about. But I think the problem is, I think Jim Harbaugh probably, if he didn't bring up Kaepernick, I think he probably brought up his expectation of control. And I think he probably brought up, Jim doesn't seem to me to be the kumbaya type of, let's have collaboration, complete, because football, a lot of football people don't. And I think what the Kaepernick thing might not have been the sticking point in this case, but I think the Kaepernick and his relationship with Colin shows the fact that Jim Harbaugh probably brought up some things that he expected to be in control of. And he might have said, hey, Kwesi and I will be. But it's become abundantly clear. I think you would have to be not attempting to read the tea leaves at all in the 2022 so far springtime moves or lack thereof by the Vikings at times. It's become quite clear that there are more than just a couple people making decisions at TCO. So I think beyond like just Kaepernick, I think that how Harbaugh operates, and you know what? I keep going back to what I've been saying. People have to make decisions. So I'm not even criticizing this, but I think the way he operates probably derailed what the Vikings expected, and just as importantly, what he expected. And the Kaepernick thing certainly could have played a role if his name was brought up.
Mm-hmm. How would you have reacted, Declan, if that, let's say Harbaugh would have gotten the job and the Vikings traded Kirk Cousins for like a first and a third, and Jim Harbaugh would have pushed to bring Colin Kaepernick to Minnesota?
Personally, I wouldn't have that much of a problem with it. I think when Harbaugh was going through that interview that day, and I think the feel was in Jim Harbaugh's mind when I was going to go interview for that job, I'm going to get this job. Like, I'm going there to sign the dotted line, and I'm going to be the next coach of this team. And I am sure that the conversation of Colin Kaepernick at some point was brought up. Kwesi and Jim Harbaugh, right, are tight. Harbaugh coached him in San Francisco. I'm sure that was discussed. My trepidation is that, or what I think got lost is when Kwesi then maybe brought that idea to ownership, because Kwesi says he has to bring everything to their baby, that is the Minnesota Vikings, to the ownership. Ownership said, no chance in hell we're signing off, and we're not on board with a move of that nature. Personally, I would be okay with that, because I think Kaepernick could potentially be a stopgap option. And I do believe of the 64 quarterbacks in the NFL, starter and backup, he is in between the 32 to 64 mark, even if him being out of the league for the last 5 years.
Yeah, he's probably closer to 50 now than 4 years ago. He might have been closer to 20.
But I could have signed up for that plan. I totally could have signed up for that.
Listen, I find it fascinating that Jim Harbaugh is sort of putting his arm around Kaepernick and trying to show pro scouts and show, listen, like, this guy can still play. Like, he's going to bat for him. And so if the opportunity would have presented itself, I absolutely think he would have made a run to bring Kaepernick in as a backup. I don't think you just give a guy after 6 years. And by the way, his last couple years, not good.
And he's 34 now too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been about 8 years since he's been good,
Yep.
A top 15 or 20 caliber quarterback in the NFL.
Yep.
But when that started, over the weekend when you started to see those stories, like, man, all right, I wonder if that came up in discussions or if Jim had a certain thought about Kirk and the Wilfs had a different thought. I don't know. I just find it sort of interesting.
I would love to know how open, if at all, with these various candidates, both for the GM and coaching job, they were to potentially moving on from Kirk. Because it doesn't seem like it seems like they were in their minds wedded to Kirk. And that doesn't mean that there wouldn't be talk about, well, what if we could, potentially trade him for a first round pick or 2 picks. So I don't think that if you didn't embrace Kirk, you were immediately shown the door. But I think if you did, like O'Connell did, I think the Wilfs, and this again, and this is the important thing, this committee, which all had a say, I think that it became probably their idea and thought process that we'd like to start with Kirk. And look, whether we agree with this or not, it is very clear that the majority of people who helped to hire the GM and coach think that Mike was, for lack of a better term, out of control, right? Like, that's become really clear.
Why haven't we heard more from Mike in the last couple months? Do you guys find it weird that he hasn't been at all in the mix for a coordinator job? Is he just that burned out in his personal and professional life?
Dukes didn't get into specifics, but I mean, I think he was 1,000% citing a source a couple of weeks back when he said that Mike had some things going on in his life. So my guess is, yeah. But I mean, they have definitely made Mike Zimmer the fall guy.
Yeah, well, yeah. He seemed just very downtrodden, like he wasn't enjoying his professional life much anymore at the end.
Yep.
And I guess I kind of thought, I mean, I'm on the record with a couple write that down predictions saying I thought he would, take 2 or 3 weeks, go chill out at the ranch, drink a little red wine, and then bounce back and be a coordinator. But man,
Fowler reported that too. That was what, 2 months back?
Reported
Jeremy
what?
Fowler tweeted specifically that he heard that Mike was trying, that the word was that Mike didn't want to coach in 2022, but Jeremy said he would take a coordinator's job in 2022. That's the last that we heard of Mike at all. So it is weird, and I don't know if something happened after that or what exactly.
He shouldn't have to go back to being a position coach.
No.
If
hell no.
I feel like he should get a coordinator. I know that people are going to say, well, yeah, but he's out of touch in defense. Yeah, but like if you just told him only focus on defensive coordinator things, which I get the joke is, well, wasn't he doing that with the Vikings? No, I mean, no, he was still focused on, like, he had his time being taken away in certain ways. So,
right.
But obviously it's not going to happen in 2022 at this point. So, do you guys want to do a little mock draft Monday here?
Absolutely.
You guys want to fire this up?
It's less than a month to the draft. You don't ask us. Just do it.
All right. All right. This mock draft Monday is from a special website that Judd and I love, and it's presented by a new partner on the show, the Meadows at Mystic.
That's right. The Meadows at Mystic Lake, one of the best public golf courses in the entire state of Minnesota. Just right down 169 in the metro, right down in Prior Lake, right in Mystic Lake Casino there. And here's the great thing. So we're still waiting, right, for golf season to open up a little bit. It's still a little cold. There's some still sleet and snow in the forecast. But it's Masters Week, baby. It's Masters Week. Phil's ready. I'm ready. I'm voting for Cam Smith. I know Scheffler's a big guy with Mackey here. It's Masters Week. It's the greatest weekend of the year in golf. So here's what you can do in the meantime.
Tiger's a game time decision, by the way.
And I can't wait for that.
Game time decision.
So
right.
Imagine if you're down there and you are at the Meadows Bar and Grill at the Mystic Lake Casino watching Tiger hit that first bomb off the deck. Just watching that. You can go down there and still watch the Masters. They want you to come down and hang out with them. And this pro shop, I've been to a lot of golf courses in the last few years. There's like little tiny little course shops off the side, and there's maybe a couple hats. It is an exclusive and an exquisite collection at the clubhouse at the Meadows at Mystic Lake. Check them out. Yes, they're a brand new sponsor here at Score North. Really happy that they're on board on Purple Daily. Check them out, the Meadows at Mystic Lake Casino.
Boom. Also, let's tell the audience how they can lose like 40 pounds, give or take, in just a few months.
That is very possible, thanks to my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. I am down approximately, as Phil just said, 40 pounds since September. And I want you to join me now on a program that I can 100% tell you works. And how do I know that? Because it's worked for me. It can work for you. In fact, get 25% off your program plus 35 meals for free. 25% off the program, 35 meals for free. And right now you're saying, Judd, tell me more because I want to lose those pounds for summer. It's as easy as this. Visit livea.com, livea.com, or call 855-GO-LIVEA. You can go in and talk to their dietitians, or let's say that you're a Purple Daily fan in, I don't know, Florida. And you're like, Judd, how do I do it? Virtually. That's right. They can send you your meals, talk to a dietitian on Zoom. It's great. Livea.com. Take that weight off and have all of your clothes fit again for summer.
All right. Mock Draft Monday. This one comes from draftblaster.com.
Draftblaster.com.
Draft Blaster is the thinking man's guide to the draft. That's right. That's
the
their
greatest
tagline.
The greatest tagline for something that sounds like anything but thinking.
The thinking man's guide
Draft
to the
explosion.
draft. All right, so this one was posted, let's see here, just a couple days ago on April 1st. And I don't know, it doesn't even have a byline on it. So it's just, I don't know, someone from draftblaster.com, okay?
It's the Draft Blaster himself, Phil. He
And
needs
it's
no introduction.
The first sentence says, important note, before you begin with this mock, be forewarned that you may very well might not agree with our strong opinions. However, we back up all of our points. Over the almost decade that we have been doing this, the mock draft world has just gotten worse and worse. That's because there's almost no barrier to entry. So apparently draftblaster.com is above the barrier to entry.
Draft Blaster's drawn a line in the sand. Wow.
This intro goes on for like 500 words here, and then it gets to the first overall pick.
Okay, good.
Okay.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, selecting Aiden Hutchinson, edge rusher, Michigan.
Okay.
Oh my God. Sorry, I just saw the last sentence of this preamble because it's right above the first pick. Okay. This is amazing. You may or may not agree, but what follows comes from intellectual integrity, a dedication to logic, and exhaustive research. So do not take this mock lightly. From draftblaster.com.
I'm saying that to bed every night now going forward until draft season. I'm repeating that in my head every day.
Draft Blaster sounds like he needs a nice vacation, and we're not even to the draft yet.
Yeah, it's like, dude, call him. They got a month left.
He's very stressed out. It's okay, Blaster. DB, it's okay.
All right, number 2, the Detroit Lions. Trayvon Walker, edge rusher, Georgia. Then Evan Neal, the tackle from Alabama, to the Texans at 3. Kyle Hamilton, safety, Notre Dame to the Jets at 4. Iquanu, the tackle from North Carolina State, to the Giants at 5. Then the Panthers take Kenny Pickett, quarterback from Pittsburgh. And there's literally 500 more words defending why this is a great pick and how the internet's going to laugh at this pick, but Kenny Pickett is the pick here. So I'll spare you that right up, and we'll scroll all the way down.
Okay.
There's the Malik Willis stat comparisons. Wow, they're really feeling insecure about this. Okay. The Giants at 7 taking Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State. Falcons taking Sauce Gardner, cornerback, Cincinnati. Seahawks taking Matt Corral, quarterback, Ole Miss. It's interesting. Jets taking Charles Cross, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State. The Commanders taking Trent McDuffie, cornerback, Washington, which leaves the Vikings at pick number 12, according to draftblaster.com.
Draftblaster.com.
Selecting from the great state of Minnesota, Jermaine Johnson II, defensive end, Florida State.
I want a mock.
Yes.
How long's the write-up?
2 sentences. It's the shortest write-up here. The Vikings are going through a complete change at the moment. Their defense was the main focus for years, and with a new scheme, we'll need some different position types.
Dude is running out of steam on pick 12, okay? That's my analysis of DB.
And
running out of steam.
So you may be thinking, this is what's tough, because for this year's team, You already got Danielle Hunter. You got Zadarius Smith, right? You got 2 great edge rushers.
Right.
Well, Zadarius Smith's contract is not. It's not a very. I mean, both guys don't have a ton of guaranteed money left after 2022, and both have huge injury backgrounds.
Yes.
So if you were just drafting for this year's team, I don't think you would take an edge rusher here. If you're looking out at 2023, 24, 25, it opens up to taking just the best player available. But if they went edge over cornerback here, how would you feel?
I wouldn't be surprised. So here's my thing about that potential pick too. Are you really going to go into the season, unless you've got a guy on your current depth chart now that you like a lot? Are you going to go into the season thinking Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter are both going to play 17 games? Like the foolishness of that. Now, I have my fingers crossed, and I think that Danielle can bounce back because he's had two very different injuries, and so like that might have been a bit of a fluke. Zadarius has a back problem, so like I would not be surprised. And if they are convinced that this defense is going to rotate far more around the ability to put on pressure, which is then going to help the corners out, gotta admit, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just to go through the rest of to pay full respect to draftblaster.com here. I do think we should make our way through the rest of it. He's above the barrier.
Above the barrier. So
yeah,
if you go above the barrier, we have to know what you're saying.
Exactly.
Or something.
So okay, Derek Stingley drops to 17 to the Chargers. He's the third cornerback here in the discussion.
Okay. Right.
Tyler Linderbaum goes 19th. He's the center from Iowa to the Eagles.
Okay.
And then the Steelers take Malik Willis at 20th. I would be pretty surprised if Malik Willis is still there at pick 20. I feel like the Steelers are going to have to trade up to get him.
I agree. I think somebody else is going to try it. If they don't, somebody will.
Yeah. So there you have it. That is your Mock Draft Monday from DraftBlaster.com, the thinking man's guide to the draft.
Draft Blaster's gotten really insecure, though.
Yeah, it's like, dude,
I feel like 5 years
Draft
back,
Blaster. You're Draft
DB
Blaster,
just
man. You're
brought
good.
it. Like he just brought it. Like he just brought the meat and potatoes, and now it's like we are above the line. And it's like, Draft Blaster, you don't need to justify your existence, my man.
I kind of want to read
Or
more
woman. It
of
could be a
this.
woman. I don't know.
Almost all mocks are just people projecting their own biases and concocted an unfounded analysis that seemingly has no accountability. Case in point, the idea of a raw, mobile, strong-armed quarterback that can be taught to read defenses and make reads is not a unicorn, but rather a myth. Super Bowl winning QBs read defenses, make progressions, and make all the throws. So they're like ripping Malik Willis before you even
manifesto
get to the mock
man.
here. It's crazy.
Like the FBI might want to examine this. I'm becoming concerned about Draft Blaster's mental state.
It kind of sounds like a write-up about Score North. We're accountable for our actions. Like we call out each other, and we call out other things that happen, and we back things up with stats and statistical analysis.
We're above the line.
I don't think you need to justify us, Declan. Now you're doing what Draft Blaster's doing.
That's what I'm saying.
Now you're both doing it.
No,
But
Draft Blaster, Draft Blaster is like 5 years back. He just or she just brought it the picks, and now it's like, well, I'm spending let's just live and let live on mock drafts, okay?
I'm rooting for DraftBlaster.com. I legitimately hope that this becomes one of the top 3 mock draft websites in the universe. All right. Also, a shout out to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. They've been helping businesses and supporting us here on Score North for a long, long time, and they're preaching Safe Driving Month here. Safe Driving Awareness Month in the month of April. There's a lot of things we can't control. You can't control, which players get picked before you. There's a lot of things in life you can't control. How safely you drive, generally you can control that, all right? Just eyes up, 10 and 2, get home safe, and Federated has all sorts of tips and tools for how to be a safer driver at federatedinsurance.com. All right, boys, Mock Draft Monday in the books. Vikings have trended toward an average offensive line, which is a huge development.
Good move, guys.
That's right. And we'll have plenty more throughout the week. And mark your calendars for April 28th, night 1 of the NFL Draft. Come hang out with us at Surly Brewing Company in Minneapolis. St. Paul. It's pretty much right on the border. See you guys tomorrow.